Is it time to get long uranium stocks again? That's what I'm going to look at in this video. Specifically, I'm going to look at Cameco, which is the world's largest publicly traded uranium stock. So let's jump right into it. First thing first, before I get into the analysis, I just want to make a disclosure and say this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing my ideas on an opportunity that I'm personally interested in. So with that out of the way, let's look at Cameco. So there's a few things that I find intriguing about Cameco right now. And one thing I really like about it is that it seems to be marching to the beat of its own drums. Specifically, what I mean is, so Cameco bottomed in March 2020 during the COVID crash, which was when a lot of stocks bottomed. And from there, it went on to have a 500% rally, and it would ultimately peak in April of 2022. So what's interesting about that is not that Cameco had a huge rally. A lot of stocks had monster rallies coming out of the COVID crash when the Fed injected all this trillions of dollars of money into the financial system. What's interesting is that so around October, November of 2021 is when the NASDAQ and many tech stocks were starting to top out. And Cameco pulled back from November 2021 to January of 2022. And it was around January 2022 when the S&P 500 topped out. But Cameco, unlike a lot of stocks, didn't roll over during that period. It actually had its final leg up during this huge rally, and before it peaked. So it kind of separated itself from the market during that time when most stocks were rolling over and falling down. It had a huge rally. And the other thing that is interesting about the price action in Cameco is once it did top out, it didn't enter a prolonged bear market. It only sold off about 38% to here, and it bottomed a month later. So instead of entering a long-term bear market or a long-term downtrend, it entered in a sideways consolidation period. And so the jury's still out on whether this sideways consolidation period is going to be distribution or accumulation. But right now, I'm leaning towards accumulation. In other words, I think this has been a period where institutional investors have been accumulating more shares of Cameco. I say that for a few reasons. I say that because we've been seeing some higher lows on Cameco's weekly price chart. It's also reclaimed both of these lines. So this red line here is a 10-week moving average, and the purple line is a 30-week moving average. And I use these two moving averages on weekly charts to help me identify, the longer term trend of a stock. And the fact that Cameco is above both those suggests to me that it's still in a long-term uptrend. And so from here, what I want to see happen is the first real test for Cameco is it's going to be testing this downtrend line from its April 2022 highs. It could test that level again and get rejected. That would be the fourth time that it's touched this trend line. But if it does pull back, there's a ton of support right here, and its 10-week and 3-week moving averages are not far behind. It's not super extended, and they're also rising. So I would expect if we do have a pullback after touching that trend line, that buyers would step in, and we could test the trend line again. But we'll ultimately see. There's also a possibility that it just takes out this trend line and is sort of off to the races. And if that happens, uranium stocks could enter a new bull market, a new uptrend, which would be a very exciting time for speculators, because uranium stocks have historically delivered very large returns during their bull markets, during their uptrends. One thing I want to see to gain a little bit more conviction, though, on Cameco, and so I want to see a little bit more group strength. So here we're looking at URA. This is the Global Uranium ETF, which invests in Cameco as well as many other uranium stocks. And what you can see here when you look at the chart is it's just not as strong as Cameco yet. Yes, it had a huge rally off the COVID lows, but it peaked before Cameco did, and it's not yet in an uptrend. It's stopped falling, so that's the good news. We haven't it hasn't set new lows since July of last year. So it's just been trading sideways. And what I want to see to gain more conviction in uranium stocks, and as well as Cameco, is to see URA break this downtrend line and begin a new uptrend. So that hasn't happened yet, but I'll keep my eye on it and just be closely monitoring the action of URA and uranium stocks in general. As far as other uranium stocks go, I think Cameco is by far the most attractive uranium stock right now that I'm watching. But if we do start to see more constructive price action out of the group, I think NexGen Energy is a name you might want to watch. Its chart is a little bit stronger, more bullish than what we're seeing from URA. It's not as strong as what I'm seeing out of Cameco. But one thing that has me interested in NexGen is that it's like Cameco. It's a larger uranium stock. So I believe it's the second largest uranium stock by market cap. It has a market cap of about 2.5 billion. That's a lot smaller than Cameco's 11 billion market cap. But if we start to see institutional investors get more bullish on this space, they're most likely going to put their money in the largest, most liquid names. So that would be Cameco and that would be NexGen. So this is another name to watch if the overall space can start to firm up and we start to see more constructive price action out of the group. That's it for today. I hope you found this video informative. Thanks.